I saw this clip of RFK Jr. on CNN talking about vaccines and autism, and when Dana Bash challenged him, he said, "You probably don't understand this because you're not a scientist." Now, Robert, can I call you Robert? Science requires a hypothesis humble enough to fail, critical thinking disciplined enough to change, and investigative thought courageous enough to discover something different it did not already believe. You happen to possess none of the three. A title can enlarge your authority without ever elevating your ability. Even your voice is now straining beneath the weight of claims it was never strong enough to carry. And when it comes to incompetence, Robert, you may be the most infected of them all.
You're contagious, touch it, baby. Give me what you got.
MAGA has become infected with a chronically restrained brain capacity, the deliberate downsizing of thought until every fact can fit comfortably inside a preconceived grievance. The vaccine is education. The booster is humility. Both are widely available, but they refuse the dosage because accountability is the adverse reaction that they fear the most. They distrust the vaccine subjected to decades of scrutiny, but trust the word of a convicted felon with decades of documented deceit. Robert, you are not a skeptic searching for the truth. You are already at the conclusion, desperately trying to find citations to back up your preconceived ideas. You insist vaccines and autism have not been meaningfully studied, despite decades of research finding no relationship betwixt the two. At some point, asking an answered question stops becoming an inquiry and starts becoming a glaring example of your own inadequate intellectual capability. And why should America trust your discernment? You once described snorting cocaine off a toilet seat as evidence that germs do not frighten you. Mystifying. Your worst decision has become your strongest credential as to your lack of comprehensive capability. And now, with the unnecessary resurgence of measles, the symbolism of this administration could not be more clear. A completely preventable disease that has been allowed to ravage this nation because contagious incompetence was permitted to impersonate intellect. Perhaps before reorganizing America's vaccination system, you should find the vaccine for the ignorance you exhibit. Because you are definitely not immune to inadequacy, Robert. You are fully infected. And you keep warning America about the CDC while embodying the most dangerous CDC of all. Can't demonstrate credentials. That is the infection at the center of this administration. People with more authority than ability, dismantling institutions they will never qualify to understand. MAGA has mistaken intellectual limitation for liberation. It calls education indoctrination because knowledge threatens the comfort of conclusions formed without it. Robert, you remind me that competence is easier to perform than competence is to acquire. The conspiracy ideology has built a quarantine around your understanding, and now the entire country is being forced to live inside the limitations of your own mind. You experience your own emptiness as enlightenment. Measles can be prevented with vaccination. Your appointment could have been prevented with qualification, but instead MAGA allowed intellectual vacancy to be placed over public health. But Robert, the good thing about that vacancy is the next time a pandemic overwhelms the hospitals, perhaps the overflow patients can move inside your head, since there clearly seems to be plenty of unused and unoccupied space.